In this episode, I will be interviewing Mike, and we will be talking about how you can make your company, like Loud Rumor, the best place to work.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD Show.
Hi everyone, my name is Christina Hamra. I was an intern at Loud Rumor this past summer. I have always dreamed of being able to host my own little talk show, and now Mike has given me the opportunity to do so. I'm so excited to be talking to him today about how he made Loud Rumor the best place to work. So Mike, how is Loud Rumor the best place to work?
Well, first off, you used to work here, so I could probably ask you that question, which I will in a minute. But, one of the things that I think a lot of small businesses struggle with is how to get their employees to work harder, how to get them to want to work, how to get them to get along, and even just where to find them. Because you probably hear a lot of small businesses say good people are hard to find, or it's so hard to find or keep good people. And I was guilty of saying that too for quite a few years, and I invested a lot in culture and leadership and just studying a lot of how the best companies do things, and we kind of found our groove. So with that said, you worked here over the summer. So why don't you tell them a little bit about your experience and why you thought it was a really great place to work?
Yeah, I actually remember coming into this exact room for my interview for an internship here. And I remember from the moment I talked to Mike, I could tell, you were so hardworking and driven and motivated, and you would really expect a lot out of me as a part of the team. But at the same time, a lot of great rewards would come as a result of that. Something that I really loved working here is the friendliness of the work environment. Everyone in the team is there to help out everyone else in the team. Mm-hmm. And that really makes you feel as though you're a part of something great, which makes you want to do great.
Right.
And that was just something I really loved about Loud Rumor.
Now, you're going to school at the University of Arizona.
Yes,
right?
I am.
Okay, so this is just an internship. You just wanted to get some hands-on experience. How did this internship compare with some other internships that you may have experienced? What was it like?
This internship was different in the way that I was really able to get hands-on in what I wanted to learn about. Sarah, the marketing director, she came and she talked to me about what exactly would you like to get out of this internship, which is something I hadn't been asked before. And I was really able to say, I want to learn about social media. I want to learn about how you do your Facebook advertising. And I was able to learn all of those skills and more. And I was able to help you while you were helping me.
Awesome. And so for those of you watching and listening, I know that one of the biggest challenges is developing a great team, developing a culture. And so we're going to dive really deep into that in this episode. And we're going to talk about some of the strategies and some of the tactics that I've learned from some really great people that have done awesome things with their teams of 200, 400 employees, and how we were able to do that and still carry in some of the same habits that made them successful into a team as small as 6 people at the time, and now we're up to I think 12 people. And because it's the same. It's all about developing the right culture from the start. And if you do it from the start as you grow, you're able to carry that even when you have 100 or 200 employees. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about that stuff. We're going to talk about how to get your employees motivated enough to not only work hard because they have to, but work hard because they want to. We're going to talk about ways to get employees to think on their feet. We're going to talk about ways to get them to come up with ideas that maybe you couldn't come up with on your own, or you just didn't come up with on your own, which if there's more than one person, you, coming up with ideas in the company, you're going to grow at a much faster rate, and it's going to be a lot easier for you. And you'll have a lot more fun doing it because everyone thinks very differently. Everybody on the team has their own character here. And that's at any workplace. Nobody's been on the same exact journey. Even twin brothers will say that they've had different journeys a little bit. So we're going to talk a lot about that. So I want you guys to stay really focused on this episode because sales is great, marketing is great, and all that stuff's really fun because we feel like it's a sure ticket to be successful. But I was pretty good at sales and I was pretty good at marketing a couple years ago too. And it wasn't until the last year and a half that it's been great. And the one thing that I've really focused on was making sure that my people were working the same way I was. And once we got that to happen, everything was exponential in regards to success. So we're going to hit a lot of those points, guys. Get ready. Christina, you're going to be asking me all the questions. Let's go.
Yes, all right. So tell me about a really important lesson that you have learned as a business owner.
So a great book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And he talks a lot about being an active listener and making sure that you're not listening while thinking about the next thing you're going to say. You're actually listening. You're taking a few seconds after they talk so that you can digest it and then be able to respond better. I've actually learned some lessons from David Berg as well, the owner of this building, who's my mentor. And he talks about taking everybody's unique capability, whatever you think, even you may even think it's negative, right? And turning it into a positive. For instance, if an employee always sees a negative in your plans that you come up with, where everybody else is on board and they're like, yeah, let's do it, that sounds great. And somebody goes, you know what, I don't know if that's gonna work well. It's great to not get frustrated with that employee, but to thank them and say, hey, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Let's fix this. How can we make it work? Right? Because they may be seeing something you don't see, but a lot of times we brush it off and we just get frustrated. So I think listening, take the time to hear people out is really important. And I learned a lot from you as well, believe it or not. So even though you're still a student and you came in here as an intern, one thing that I learned from you was to be really great at taking compliments. So that's something that everyone struggles with, right? When they say, hey, you're doing a really great job here. Naturally, we're wanting to be modest and go, oh, we're trying, or something silly like that, when that doesn't really give the person that gave the compliment full satisfaction. And I've learned that by giving you a compliment and you going, thank you. Every time I'll be like, hey, Christina, you did a really great job on that project. And you'll just go, thank you. And I'm like, wow, I was expecting something different. But it felt really good because I feel like what I wanted to achieve in that compliment, which was make you feel really good for the work that you've done, it was done, right? And so those are some lessons that I kind of picked. There's a ton, right? I think there's a lot of books that you should read. Starts With Why is a really great book. Another really great book is The Zappos Experience. That really talks about culture development, how to win friends and influence people. These are Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. These are all books that I've kind of invested in, and it really helps improve the culture of the company.
Something that I really learned from you is the importance of really understanding where every different person is coming from and understanding every person for the strengths and weaknesses that they have. Mm-hmm. How would you say that you have learned to combat the different strengths and weaknesses as your team, especially considering that there are a lot of millennials who work here, and we know that there's a lot of, rumors and stereotypes that go along with millennials?
So first off, stereotypes are true in a lot of ways. They're not true in a lot of ways. But also the stereotypes are misunderstood. So millennials are entitled, right? That's a thing that you hear. First off, millennials aren't entitled. It depends on how you're raised. And there's a lot of people that are not, don't come with that feeling of entitlement. You've never shown that, actually.
Thank you.
And some people say, oh, it's because they got these, fourth place trophies and they got participation awards and all that stuff. And maybe that's true. That could play a big role. But what I'll also say is when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I was the same way. And from what I understand from my grandparents, my parents, when they were 18, 19, and 20 years old, they were the same way. And I bet you if I was able to talk to my great-grandparents about it, they'll tell me my grandparents were the same way. There's one thing that's true. 18-year-olds know it all, right? They know everything. 19-year-olds know a little less. 21-year-olds know a little less. By the time you get to 30, you realize you know nothing. By the time you get to 50, you wonder what the hell you've learned in 50 years, right? So I think the older you get, the more you realize you don't know. But think about it. Imagine if you knew everything. You'd walk differently. You'd act differently. And that's how 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds tend to act sometimes. Now, again, that's not always the case. If they were raised properly, that doesn't happen. Now, when you put them in an environment, whether they were raised properly or not, when you put them in an environment that bends to them, you're actually able to not only make them feel great, mature them much faster, but also be more successful in your company. So yes, we have, I would say 80% of our team is millennials, right? They're, I think, under the age of 25 years old. But they do killer work. They work hard. They come up with great ideas. This new format here is the work of a millennial. Sam, how old are you?
23.
23 years old. all this design was done by a millennial in like a night, right? A
That's
night.
really cool.
You worked on this last night, didn't you, Sam?
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you to work on this last night?
No.
No. All of a sudden I get a text at like midnight, check this out. And it's a screenshot of it. That, according to a lot of non-millennial bosses, will tell you that's not how millennials will work. Millennials will come in 10 minutes late with a Starbucks, and they'll leave at 3 o'clock because they have to do a passion trip, right? That's what they'll tell you. So I think they definitely like to be appreciated. But I think that's any young person, not just millennials. I think they like to be appreciated. They like to know that they're doing a good job. They just left their parents, where their parents were very supportive and telling them they were doing a good job. So they can't just go straight into not having any appreciation at all or any recognition at all, right? And you were the same way. Everybody's the same way. And then also things that they're into. So we have people that love reading comic books. So we create time at lunch where, hey, do your lunch, half hour, eat, half hour, read your comic books. In fact, you can't work during this time. I need you to read your comic books, right? Because that's what you like doing. So I know it sounds crazy, and there's people that are watching, especially non-millennials that are watching, that'll say, man, that's not how the way it was for me. For me, I knew I had to work, and that came first, and nobody had to tell me to work hard. I just worked hard because that's the way it was. That's not true. That's why I rewind back to your life at 19 years old, and I guarantee you were also, there's a good chance that you were also one of the people that did the bare minimum to not get fired. And you found ways to brag to your friends about how you got away with this, you got away with that. That's most people, okay? When you're developing a culture and you want to hire millennials, which is a good idea to do because they're the future, you're not going to get away from them. And they have great ideas and they know technology. They're fast learners. When you're hiring them, it's better to not want to change the generation. It's better to change yourself. It's a lot easier, and find a way to really create a workplace for them. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. You know, you've been really good here at Loud Rumor about incorporating life and work here into the big picture and the big scheme of things. So something that I would like to bring up here, which is something that I absolutely loved working here, is the board that you have in the back, the goal board, where you write down, you know, you have your name, and then you have like little check boxes, and you have in the check boxes, you know, you check off and you do this task and this task and this task, so that by the end of the day, you can see, oh look, I got all of my tasks done. But then also on the side, there's little goals for the week or the month, or now I hear you're doing goals for the year.
Right.
Where you can really put down like some personal goals there. Like there's one guy here who loves to surf. And so his big thing is, oh, I want to make sure I go on a surfing trip every month. You know, someone else here, I remember over the summer, said, I want to go to 3 spin classes a week. And so she would check it off every week. I went to 3 spin classes a week. And something that you told me on a trip that we went on is that work is personal. If you have a bad day at work, you're going to go home and be sad about it. And, you know, but if things are going great at home, you're going to come to work maybe a little bit more energized. Right. And I think it's so cool how you've really incorporated that into the workplace. Yeah,
it's true. You know, if you're having a good day at home, work's a lot easier. If you're having a bad day at work, you go home upset. You have a bad day at home, you come to work upset. So that whole work-life balance thing, it's not really, it doesn't really work, because the only time it works is when things are going good at both places. Then it's easy to say, I have good work-life balance. But in reality, if one place is not going so well, then everything's off balance. So you need to learn how to integrate. It's called work-life integration. A lot of people are talking about that now, and just how to make sure that your home life can be incorporated in your work life and vice versa. And so yes, the goal board's an example. I personally write down my goals every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to bed, because I want it to be top of mind, so I live my day with intention. And also before I go to bed, because sometimes I let the day get the best of me, and I'll go to write down my goals, and I'm like, man, I didn't do anything to work on this today. I totally took this day off from this goal, right? I didn't take the day off. I worked, but all I did was I worked to keep my day the same, you know, to keep not going backwards. But I didn't do anything to go forward in that goal. That lets me feel frustrated, which the next morning, when I write my goals again, I remember I didn't work on this a lot easier, because I just wrote down that goal and I knew I felt bad about it. So I start my day with a better intention. So I think when people talk about athletes, any sports fans here, some of you may have gotten upset when like LeBron James went to the Heat because he left his team, right? And some of you may get upset when Durant goes, and a lot of you, every sports fan gets upset when they feel like a player is playing for themselves and not for the best of the team, right? Not sharing the ball hogging it, just wanting to get their own statistics high so they can look like they did so much more than what they really did. And I think what people love in athletes are people that make their teammates better. You know, Steve Nash and Tom Brady, they were known for creating superstars because they are so great at making their teammates better, and that makes them more successful. And so if that's how you feel in sports, why don't you feel like that at work? You know, why worry about yourself and say, okay, I just need to focus on this, I need to focus on this. You know, my goals. If this is a strategy that I do to hit my goals and I see that it works, it only makes sense to me to share it with everyone on the team. So now, when people walk in, they don't clock in, but they kind of do. The clocking in version for us is you go to the sticky pad that's waiting for you by the front door and you write down your goals that we all agreed on prior to starting this year, right? And if we hire new people, they just tell us what they are. So they write down their goals. Some people just have one main goal they want to hit. Some people have 4 or 5, you know? So they write down their goals in a sticky note and they put it by their name on the board. Then they work, and at the end of the day, they go back to the sticky pad before they walk out. They write their goals again, so they end their day. They put it back by their name. The next day, when they come in, now they do it again, but when they go back to that board, they should have the 2 stickies there from yesterday, right, with their goals, the checking in and the checking out goals. So you take those 2 stickies off, you put your new one on, and then you add it to the board here. And Sam, show the B-roll and show what that looks like. So as you can tell, this is the year for 2017, so it's just started. But we've done the math, and we've realized that with the amount of employees that we have, the amount of work days that we have, doing 2 stickies a day, we're going to have over 5,000 stickies on that wall, even if we don't hire any more people, which is pretty cool. So it's just about being top of mind. I feel like if everybody here believes that Loud Rumor has truly participated in achieving their biggest goals, the ones that they couldn't even fathom reaching, then that work-life integration is so much easier because this is affecting their life positively, more than just a paycheck. It's helping them stay focused because you know very well the average person, their goal is really a dream. They don't have a plan. Mm-hmm. They don't have a constant focus on it. It's just when somebody talks about it. Wouldn't you love to have a house? Oh yeah, that'd be nice. And then resentment comes into play, right? Oh, it must be nice to have that house. Must be nice. You could have that. You can have whatever you want, but you got to do what they did. And sometimes that really means just focusing on it on a daily basis. Every day counts, just like in sports. Every minute counts. So that's the goal board that you talked about.
Awesome, love it. Mike, you are an inspiration to, everyone here at Loud Rumor. The way that you carry yourself and the way that you're a leader that is so strong and yet so humble is something that a lot of us, really strive to be like. You are a mentor to a lot of people here and a friend too. I mean, we've had really great conversations, not only about, life at work, but about other things, anything. But at the same time, you're a boss and everyone here takes you seriously. How do you draw that line between the two and maintain it?
First, thank you. So I'm learning from you. That was a tricky one, and I messed up on that a few years back. We've been around now for 7 years. It'll be 7 years in November or October. And that was something I did struggle with, was that line. Because you don't want employees to take advantage of you just because you've talked to them and had conversations that were non-work related. But those conversations are important to have because, again, that work-life integration, if they're having a bad day at home, maybe you've been through that. Maybe there's a way you can kind of provide some support for that or an idea for it. Either way, the answer to that question directly is setting really great expectations. So everybody that interviews here, they know from day one. If you notice when I interviewed you, you were sitting in that chair.
Right? I remember.
And I was sitting in that chair.
Yes.
And I'm always sitting in a spot, and the person getting interviewed is always sitting in a spot where they can see the rest of the people working. The reason I do that is because if they ever glance over, or if I see you not glancing over, I'll point to them. I know that my team works. I know that my team doesn't goof around. I know that they focus. I know anytime that they look over, my team's going to be hustling and working. And so I'm able to bring that up in the interview and set really good expectations. So for those of you watching, for those of you listening, this is the most important thing to have a really successful employee. So if I'm interviewing you, again, sorry, deja vu, we're back. I'm going to say, right. So Christina, just so you know, the thing I'm most protective here of everything is the people. These guys are amazing. And, I will literally say every single person here loves working here, loves the people they work with, and is on board with the mission. and knows what we have to do every day and doesn't take a day off from achieving that goal. That being said, when you're about to step on that floor and work, I want you to know that you're going to either join that environment and raise it another notch by just being a light there, or you're going to get eaten alive because they don't tolerate it as much as I do. Somebody that's doing the minimum or somebody that's not doing everything they can to achieve this goal. They feel like it weighs them down. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So to protect you and also to not frustrate them, I want your honest opinion. Is this an environment that you're looking to work in?
Yes.
You say yes. But okay, now if I note it, here's another expectation, right? So now we set the expectation, this is how you're going to work, period. Okay? The next expectation is, can I call you out on it, right? So Christina, if I or somebody on the team notices that you're not fitting in when it comes to that work ethic, or if I feel like you're not doing your best or you start slumping, can I have a tough conversation with you and can I bring that up and can we talk maturely about it?
Absolutely.
Okay. And if we have to talk about it more than once or twice, and I feel like the best decision is to remove you from the environment and part ways with you, would you understand that or would you take that to heart too much?
It would be completely understandable.
Okay. Because you understand the main goal is to move this company forward. And if you're an employee here that's kicking ass and doing really well, and there's another employee that's hurting your ability to be successful because they're not doing their best, I'd be protecting you by removing that person. But if that person's you, I have to do the same thing for those guys. Does that make sense?
It does.
That's setting expectations. So now I can have those friendly conversations, but if I ever need to, which I've had to do a couple times, and not that they were lazy or anything, just people, everybody, me too, we'll take like a mental day off or just like off today because of personal life maybe, or whatever the reason. So when that happens, I can pull them in and be like, hey Josh, what's going on? They're like, what do you mean? Look, you told me I can have a tough conversation with you. If I feel like you're not working your best, I'm watching you. Something tells me you're not giving me your best, but maybe I'm not seeing something. Am I off on this or what? And they'll usually know. They'll usually be able to say, because I don't call it out as soon as I'll watch. When I see something, I'll watch a little bit more, and I pay more attention, so they have my antennas up, right? But if I see that's continuing, then I'll bring it up. And then once I bring it up, they already know, because it's true. And we're really good at being accountable here. And that's another thing too. Last thing. We want to make sure that in setting expectations in the interview process, you say, look, I need you to be very good at being held accountable. What that means is if I tell you something needs to be improved, you need to accept it. No defensiveness. You just need to say, I'm on it. Okay? If you can't do that, or if you feel like that's been a pattern that conflicts with yours in the past, let me know now because that's not going to work. No, I'm really good at being accountable. Okay, great. One more thing. Everyone here has had that talk, and so everyone here is great at being held accountable. That being said, you have to be great at holding people accountable. This means if you see another employee not doing their best, especially when I'm not around, which that's typically the only time it would happen in a work environment, not like loud rumors, I need you to hold them accountable. And you should feel comfortable doing it because they're good at being held accountable, and they've had the same talk that we're having. So, question, are you good at being held accountable not just by me but by your peers?
Yes.
Now, knowing that they've had that talk, do you feel comfortable holding them accountable if they're not doing their part?
Yes.
And just so you know, if they take that poorly, they're the ones that are on thin ice, not you. What impresses me more is somebody that holds peers accountable when they're not doing it right, rather than somebody that keeps it themselves to protect the employee, and now both of them are doing the wrong things. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's who I need on board. You ready to join?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so, and there's a few other things, but those are the main points that I hit. And it doesn't just happen in the interview process. You bring that up in meetings. Anytime somebody does it incorrectly, you bring it up to the team, but you don't have to call that one person out. You just say, this is something I've noticed. It needs to be fixed, right? Are you guys still on board with this? We all agree to this. Are you on board with this? And you keep talking about it. So that's how you are able to keep that line between friends and employer, is just making sure that they know that there's expectations for them.
Yes, so accountability is key. And great satisfaction comes from knowing that we are all capable of great things as long as we hold each other accountable for them.
100%. This place, and any place that implements these strategies, you guys can all do it. Anybody listening can do it. Any place that sets these things up in the very beginning is going to be a really great place to work, period. Because everyone knows what they're here to do. Everyone knows what to do, how to do it, and we all get along. You hire the right way. That's another thing. Using a DISC assessment to make sure you're hiring the right personality. Sometimes the mistake we make is we hire people that we really liked in the interview process because we get along with them. So I've hired people that I know this isn't the type of person I would probably get a beer with. Now, not because they're not a good person. It's just I don't see me regularly hanging out with them. They like different things than I like. But they fit the part. They're really, really great for what they're being hired to do. And over time, you get to know them, you get to like them, and then you have beers with them anyway. But it's important that you don't hire people that are just like you. You hire people that are really right for that spot. A person that's in charge of admin work and data entry is a very different personality than a fitness coach. This guy needs to be outgoing and social and motivating, and this person needs to be able to focus, zone in, and be analytical. So 2 different types of things. And Myers-Briggs is one that you guys can do. Sam put that on the screen. And DISC, D-I-S-C, is another one you can use. They're really great personality assessments you can have everyone take before they start their job. You took it.
Yes, I remember that. That was actually very interesting. It teaches you a lot about yourself.
Yeah, and then you read it to the employees as well. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no doubt that Loud Rumor has become a really dynamic place to work, and you really helped shape that with your leadership skills. I mean, you just won Best Place to Work.
Yes.
But there's always room for improvement. What could you do to improve?
Everything. Everything can be improved. Michael Jordan was claimed the best basketball player that ever lived 8 years before he retired. And he still, practiced, was the first one at practice, sometimes hours early, stayed hours late to practice even when there wasn't practice. And he watched tape after every game to see where he could have improved. So just because you've won Best Place to Work doesn't mean your place can't be a better place to work. We implemented this whole sticky board thing after we knew we won the award. So it's not like we were like, all right, that's it, we figured it out. There's always more we can do. And there's a couple things that I can't say what we're working on because Sam's here. It's a surprise. We're working on a lot of cool things, right? But I think you can always get better. I think listening to your employees, not all ideas are great by anybody. Most ideas are not great because, you think of them, but you don't think of all the things that make that idea a reality. So not all ideas are great, but all ideas should be heard. And when you hear them, sometimes you could take something from that idea, and little by little, you find, wow, this could be a better place if we do this. Constantly reading and constantly following people that are proven to be great leaders. Multipliers is hands down the best book for leadership.
You lent that book to me.
Oh, did you read it?
Yes, I read it, and I loved it.
Awesome.
Learned a lot from it. Yeah.
Awesome. Just so you guys know, Christina's a millennial. How old are you?
I am 19 years old.
19. Now, to be fair, her father is an entrepreneur. So she's been raised with a different mentality than people that maybe weren't raised with a father that was an entrepreneur. But you said 19?
Yes, I am 19.
19. I can't remember. I knew your birthday soon. So 19 years old, she was an amazing employee here. You're an intern, but I mean, you were part of the team as much as anybody else. And, you went on trips with us to California. And if you weren't a full-time employee and wanted to do something else, you'd be working here forever. I would find a way to keep you. But I know that's not your goal, right? And that's another thing too. Not everybody here plans on being here forever. I have a couple people here that want to start their own business one day. And that's awesome. I'd be a hypocrite if I denied that, right? You should do that. So I think learning what people want to do long-term or even short-term and letting them know it's okay. If here's not it, that's fine. You could play your role here when you're here, your best, really contribute. And then when you're ready to move on, how can I help you with that? And how can you help me with that, right? Because when they're ready to move on, it'd be great if not only was I supportive to them to help them be successful, but wouldn't it be great if they can help me be successful by helping me transition, helping me find a person that can replace them, helping train that person, and doing it with a much different level, not because they have to so they can get a good reference for the next place, but because the law of reciprocity kicks in and they go, you know what, this guy is really supportive and successful and wanting me to be successful and helping me get there. I want to do the same thing for him. I think all humans are like that. I think all people are good people if you're giving them the chance to be. And some people are misheard. Some people may unfortunately have had bad events that have happened to them and it takes them to a different place. But most people in the world are really, really good people once you hear them out, hear their story, and really get on their level. And just not enough people take the time to do that. It's a quick impression. If I didn't get something I liked right away, I'm judging you. and I think more people should be invested in.
Yes. Well, Mike, I just had the greatest time working here at Loud Rumor. I know everyone else here can, say the same. I think that we know why Loud Rumor is the best place to work. I think it's because of the team environment that we have here. The place where you come to work, how you feel when you walk in the door, it empowers you to be motivated and to do great things, not only for your own success, but for the success of everyone as a whole.
Cool. And just so you guys know, this was not a promotional video so that you guys can want to work here. Christina dropped a lot of really great compliments, but it's because she believes it. I didn't create this episode to brag about us. I didn't create this episode to get people to want to work here. I created this episode because this was really hard to do. And I was struggling to getting employees to work hard. I was struggling to create a fun place to work. I didn't even like coming to work some days. And what I want you to know is if that's something you're dealing with, this is something that you can overcome like I did. It's just really investing in leadership, education, understanding how to be better at that, and really making that a main focus of each and every day that you come to work. Some of the things that I talked about in this episode will really help you if you implement them. And it's like anything else, like riding a bike, where at first these things are going to be uncomfortable, not just for you, but for the team that wasn't used to you doing these things, right? So it's going to be uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean you quit riding your bike. That means you keep on pedaling until eventually it becomes comfortable. But there's different levels along the way, right? At first, your dad or mom pushes you, right? So you don't have to worry about starting, you just have to worry about pedaling. But then you got to learn how to stop. That's a whole new thing. Then you got to learn how to turn. That's a whole new fear. And then if you remember, once you learn how to do all that, now you got to learn how to start riding on your own without your dad pushing you. That's tricky. All those things are uncomfortable, but once you get those things down, you build habits. And now that you have great habits, there's that phrase, right? If somebody goes, oh, you still know how to do that? Oh, it's like riding a bike, right? And it is like riding a bike. And now I don't think about a lot of the things every day that I used to think about, like, okay, I should remember to show appreciation here. I should remember to think about this. I should remember to talk to this person. I haven't talked to them in a couple weeks. I don't have to think about that anymore because habits have developed, right? And now those things happen automatically, which allows me to focus on newer things. And now I can implement those things every day. And then those will become habits. So for you guys, I will say that marketing and sales, like I mentioned earlier, is amazing and it will grow your company. But if you don't have the right team doing the right things, none of that matters because you won't be able to sign up as many customers. You won't be able to keep as many customers because you're unfortunately putting the customers first. You need to put the people first. If you put the people first, the customers get treated way better because it's not just you that cares. It's everybody that cares, and which allows you to go much further. Cool?
Yes.
Close it out.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for watching, or, if you're listening, thank you for listening. Mike, I've learned so much even just in this interview talking with you. Thank you so much for having me come in to do this. I've really just had the greatest time with you. Always a pleasure.
I've had a great time too. Hug. Let's do it. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher and to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. You can get all the links by going to thegsdshow.com. Thanks, and see you next time.